thank you, Governor Romney, for making this opportunity available to people on the internet to respond to what your presidential candidacy is going to be about. My name is Lee Dean, and I'm from the South, the extreme South, and but I do travel, and I've traveled all over this country. And what Americans really want is will be found in rural America. It won't be found in St. Paul or San Francisco or L.A., New York, Chicago, etc. Because the polls that are taken by the extreme left media is not what true Americans feel. True Americans are just not represented in the media today, with the exception of maybe one outlet, that would be maybe Fox News. The national media has gotten to a point to where they create most of the news that's out there today. Their propaganda is outrageous. I wish something could be done about that. Of course, I know you can't do anything about that, and I'm not making that an issue at the point. I've sat back, my wife and I have sat back and watched over the last 8 years an economy that's grown. It's the most powerful economy in the United States. We've existed through a war that we're participating in now, Hurricane Katrina and several other disasters, the fires out in California, just one major catastrophe after another. Not only that, going to the help of the tsunami victims. And after all of that, and after all the money that the United States of America has put into making people's lives a little bit better, and all the financial issues that that arise from that kind of disaster, we are still the number one strongest nation in this country. I constantly am hearing from the far left, I call them liberals. I do believe there's a difference between liberals and Democrats, but the far liberals seem to be driving this push in this country at the moment, how bad our economy is, and what are we going to do about the economy, and how are we going to do this to straighten out the financial issues that we have. Well, no time in history has our financial gains been so successful over the last 10 to 12 years. And so that's not an issue, and how it can be an issue and be brought to the front it's a mystery to me. It's not an issue, and they need to stop using it, because I don't believe that people believe that. It's outrageous to believe that over the last 4 years the housing boom has been, it's just unbelievable. So, where else can they just create out of nowhere, that our economy is so poor? And then you have those people out there that believe that, the liberals, I'm pointing at the liberals who are trying to destroy this country as we know it, want to take religion, completely remove religion from our Constitution and any historical documents. If they had it their way, the word God would be removed from everything, which that is the cornerstone of why this country, this great nation, was formed. Whether they want to believe it or not, this country was formed on that the one ability to be able to praise God in the way that you want to. It wasn't freedom from religion, it was freedom of religion. I think people lose sight of that. They'd like to take, like I heard you say in a conversation before, they'd like to take, even God's name off the coin. I could ramble on and on and on about the way that I feel that this country is divided, but it is divided, and there's a great division there. And unless we can get control over that, we're going to lose the sight, and we're going to lose the respect that other nations have held for us for so many, especially for the last 150 years. They have browbeat President Bush until you just can't browbeat a president any more than that. They say his ratings are 37%. They're at the lowest of all time. we don't really believe that. In rural America, we don't believe that. We don't agree with everything that President Bush stands for, but we do know this, that he is a man that's steadfast, and we want a president that's steadfast. To me, President Bush is the best president that we've had in my entire life, and I've lived through quite a few presidents, going all the way back to Eisenhower. So, it's a major issue. There's a war going on here in this country between the far left and the conservatives, and we have to get a handle on that. We have to know that, and somehow there's going to be a winner in this. Now I'm going to get back on what I was supposed to. My suggestions to you. You can take them in heart or whatever, but this is what Americans really want. We want our national security to be number one priority. We want our borders protected. We want our National Guard put in place at whatever cost. We have plenty of National Guard that are weekend warriors that need to be pulled out, and we need to use that. At the same time, we do need to complete that fence, because even though what little protection that is, and it can be dug in, it can be crawled over or dug under, it's still there, and it makes it a little bit more difficult for the illegal aliens to come into this country. We have to do that. That's a must. That's the number one thing for national security. Now, under that same area of Mexicans, and even through Canada, but mostly Mexico, we also need to send Mexico we need to send them a message, and that message would be that we're supporting your citizens. We're supporting Mexican nationalists in this country. When they come in here illegally, we have to support them, and we have to pay their medical expenses and their food stamps and their welfare and the whole 10 yards. It's a burden on the United States of America, and I don't understand why the politicians in this country don't understand that it is so simple that we need to send Mexico this bill. Every time an illegal alien enters this country, we have to split the bill. That bill should be sent directly to the Mexican government. The Mexicans should have to pay for each individual Mexican national that enters this country illegal. Mexicans should have to split the bill on that. For every Mexican that comes into this country and commits a crime and has to spend time in our prison system, the Mexican government should have to split that cost. Not split that cost, they should have to completely pay that cost. I think it costs between $37,000 and $50,000 to house an inmate in this country. Well, those expenses should not be bared by the American people in this country, especially when most of us want something done about border control. The Mexicans need to also help in the border control by putting their own National Guard on the border down there. But this bill needs to be sent to Mexico. This is Mexico's problem. It's not the United States problem, and we should make it a Mexican problem. It's so simple. And the United States, our United States government, with all its great politicians up there in Washington, D.C., who are there that's supposed to represent the people in this country, can't simply figure this out. With the North American trade agreement that we had, is a joke to begin with, but it's real simple. If you don't start paying for your Mexican nationals that are migrating to this country, then you're going to get a bill for it. And I strongly believe in that, and I believe that it will wake Mexico up, because if they don't pay their bill, then we can simply place sanctions on them through the North American trade agreement and through many other ways. Tourism, they couldn't survive without our tourism. More on national security as far as the Iraqi issue goes. Most of us that have any common sense whatsoever knows that if we don't keep an American presence in Iraq, then that whole situation will decay. As soon as the Americans pull out of Iraq, the Iranians will move in, completely control the Shiites and the Sunnis. It'll be a free for all, especially